Hello there everybody and welcome back to episode 8 of my tutorial series for Rimworld version 1.5. So today we are going to go over trading, caravaneering and preparing for the winter. I think these are really a couple of topics that we can go through. So first of all, winter. Let's take that topic right ahead. In Rimworld, each year has 60 days. There's 15 days per season. So currently we're in September, which is the fall season. It's the 8th of September. That means we're having still 1 week ahead of us, which will be fall, and after that, it's gonna be winter. As a rule of thumb, you should always try to do your traveling in any time of the year except for winter, because winter does slow you down. If you're traveling across the map, you're doing slower the colder it is. So that's the first thing. Our preparations today for the caravan will be to pick up our gun people, and we are going to go manual hunting because we need to sell something. The easiest material to sell when you're going to go for a trade outside there is kill stuff and sell their skins. So hotkey B for shooting. I don't know why it's B, but I guess it's bang. Who knows? If you know, let me know. So we're now going to go over and give Menino a low-key priority of cooking. So we can right-click the butchering here. And make sure that the stuff here is getting processed. You can, of course, take whatever kind of action you want to. I personally am a big fan of manual hunting. Automated hunting's not really that good because your people tend to be really stupid while doing so. By the way, currently things are not working out as good anymore because it's going dark. Darkness and obscured vision here does a lot of badness, so Conway should move out of the way so shield doesn't accidentally take friendly fire here. And there we go. So these two bad boys, they yield plain leather. You should also note that the better the cook, the better the yield. So picking up Menino for that task is, as a matter of fact, suboptimal because he'll be not yielding that much leather out of that. Anyways, I'll take that leather here primarily as a material of example. We are going to go now and set up the caravan in the dawn of the next day. Meanwhile, we're completing the building complex here. And we're even gonna be installing a wall lamp into our prison, because we are no monsters. Yet. Alright. So in the meantime, research is going forward here through smithing and machining. This is the path that you need to create yourself your own guns, your own armor, and eventually your own gun turrets. So I personally love this tech tree up until precision rifling, because that'll allow you to build assault rifles and sniper rifles, which are among the most versatile and powerful weapons in the game. Vanilla, that is, of course. So once people are well rested and all, we're going to go and set up the caravan. So you pick up the world screen. And the first thing we need to do is we're going to go over here and click our own encampment. It's the bright cyan one, and form caravan. So next step, you right click where you want to go to. Here, do not go to these. These are hostile. The purple ones are friendly. We picked up a spot that was close to the road, and as you see here, our people are trying to get on the road, and then they're traveling as fast as they can. Your world map navigation will always try to find the best ways. What's really worth mentioning is that there are impassable tiles. So these really dark spots on the mountainous tiles, these cannot be passed. Also, water. Any body of water is an impassable wall. The real downside about that is the game is creating quests all around your starting location, and here you can already see it, that bag here. This has been spawned on this side. So the game has no feeling of whether or not you are able to reach parts. So if I'd be settling down here, quests would be spawning all over the place here, which would be an absolute nightmare to reach, just as a random tidbit. Okay, so you click accept after you have locked in the destination for your caravan, and now we get to select who we're going to send. We're going to send Shield because he's our social genius, and we're going to send Menino because he's expandable, and if your caravan gets attacked, which they will, it is always invaluable to have a second person. I even go as far to say never send caravan alone. So we're sending alongside of that tour now, of course, our pack animals, the buffaloes and the alpacas. And here on this screen, we now pick the items that we want to give them. We are going to carry over the awful pants that I forgot to sell, the silver, this is the money that you allow them to pick up, the plain leather, that's the material we want to sell, and you could now pick up and try to sell whatever you want to. The next screen are the travel supplies. You see up here the mass of your caravan. This is the grand total of stuff you can carry. You see the people here have their own carrying capacity, and pack animals have different carrying capacities. As you see here, the buffalo can carry twice as much as an alpaca and more. As a general rule of thumb, the further your caravan goes, the slower they turn, which is here reflected in the movement speed. The movement speed is a rough average, and the slowest person impacts the speed the most. But people that can't move anymore will be carried, so don't you worry. Animals also speed up the caravan. Let me show you. Notice that our movement speed goes up with every carrying animal that we got. This is emulating the riding of animals, and if you'd bring horses and such, these even add extra movement speed bonus into your caravan. As you see here, there's also a little bit of a calculation behind that. Days of food and forage per day. These things are really important here. So in the travel supplies screen, you can remove that check mark and select for yourself what your caravan should bring along the way. First and foremostly, your caravan should always try to have some meds on its way. You never know when disaster strikes, and it is just invaluable to be able to cure whatever will happen on the road. Be it a lethal gunshot wound or a deadly plague hitting you on the road, it can all happen. So you will notice that the more stuff you put in, the higher the days of food go. It is really not necessary to go further than double the amount of traveling time. Here, this is quite okay. I personally am not a big fan of the automatic travel supply selection because, as you see here, it won't pick up medicine. It will only pick up a couple of herbal meds. So that is totally okay, but for emergencies, it's not. And if you want to select more precisely what you people will carry, for example, I don't want them to use the packaged survival meals because whatever we can now replace that with potatoes. It's up to you how you play that. You will just not find any perishable food in the items section. Very important. You will all find it in the travel supplies section. Goes the same for medicine and such. Okay, so now we have selected these and we can send them off. So you will always get this warning because the game thinks you need to carry tons of food. It ain't true. Forage per day, by the way, is also a number of food that can be foraged on the road. This is being influenced by your plant skill on the caravan. Since both of them are really good at plants, they can fetch their own food on the road. So as you can see here, they are now forming a caravan. There is the caravan forming spot for them. You can also, don't know, did they already make it vanilla? No, they didn't. So, or is it here? Ah, yeah, no. Here, the caravan hitching spot. You should designate that beforehand. Here, they now do it the bad way. The caravan forming spot should be always in front of your warehouse and in the vicinity of your pen. Because here you now see they pack up the stuff that they need for the caravan, and then they leave. This was logistically just stupid. With the caravan forming spot over here, hidden beyond below the grass, it is just much better. You can also use it to directly form a caravan here, and can be deconstructed or whatever. So, yeah, very useful thing. You will now see that your folks will leave the map, and now there is a very important thing to note. You might be afraid that your colony back home now is ill-defended because there's only Furies and Conway back home. Rimworld always takes into account the current situation. So we are going to get attacked according to our colony being only 2 people. So the attack will be that small. This is also possible to lower the impact of bad attacks by just sending away a couple of your people. Altogether, the storyteller will try to adapt the severity of the attacks by a wealth of different things, but most importantly, wealth. The wealthier your settlement is, the heavier the attacks. The more people in the settlement, the heavier the attacks. The more beauty in your settlement, the heavier the attacks. There are a couple of various parameters that are influencing that, but wealth and the amount of people in your colony are the primary drivers of the severity of attacks. Now, when we check out the world screen now, you'll see that, yeah, Fury's got the plague. You'll see that the caravan is traveling along there, and there's a destination time. Anyways, the plague. If somebody in your colony has that, the first thing you should do, bed rest to top notch, undraft, and send them to bed. A disease like the plague is absolutely lethal if it doesn't get treated, so you better have a bit of medicine around. Even a mediocre quality doctor like Conway here can't properly treat that. What you need to do is you go in there, and now we allow a better medicine, and let Conway do that. With good medicine and a proper bed, good lighting, well, alright, the bed could be better. Even a quality 4 doctor can apply a really good treatment here. 63%. That's absolutely enough. You will now notice that currently the plague has an advantage, but with that kind of treatment, it will go away. So while we're at it, I just might explain that real quick while our caravan is still traveling. You can see here now that it can be tended again in 10 hours. The tending will expire in 13 hours. This means that a new percentile value will be attached to this disease after that time passes. This also means that you will need several dosages of medicine to get through that. The gain of immunity is linked to a random number that is unique to your colonists, as far as I know, because some colonists just suck at gaining immunity, and that is a fact. And it also is linked to blood filtration. Blood filtration is literally the most influential stat on your colonist in terms of immunity gain. And you might already notice that the gap between immunity and the plague is growing narrower and narrower. Now, our caravan is still moving. Almost there. Once they arrive, you'll get that notification here. And now we can't trade. It is really diabolical how close trade and attack settlement are to each other, but you want that button. The other button is the bad button. So trading here works exactly the same as when a trader hits your town. We have on this side our stuff, and on that side their stuff. So we want to sell the plain leather, and we see here it yields us 122 bucks. we can also now sell away the alpaca or the buffalo, just as we want to. The cities always buy different things, and my personal experience was that modern cities, the most interesting stuff to get there are guns. So here, a chain shotgun is a treasure. A heavy SMG ain't bad either. I'm not the big fan of these, but they are really good as well. So you can get yourself implants. Books are really always worth checking out the things here. So yeah, we want to buy that chain shotgun for sure, because that will be a big benefit for us. Oh, we also had an awful pair of pants. So we're going to say goodbye to our alpacas and travel back home just with Muffalo alone. That is all we need. We accept that. And now we're going to send them back by having a caravan here selected and just right-clicking. And that's that. They'll go on the road as soon as they can. Mind you that your people on the road will also sleep during nighttime. Alright, so let's check back with our friend Furious. Yeah, so his immunity is finally almost beyond the plague's level. He's getting there very, very slowly. You can enhance the quality of that, of course, differently. So here he's now getting up to some breakfast. This is okay, but you should never you should never let people work that have a terminal illness. That has to be cured first, because otherwise you'll have that problem. But malnutrition ain't nice either. So let's tend to him. Thing here is that Conway has no high doctoring priority, so therefore he is not really good at taking responsibility for the needs of Furious. But since Shield and Menino will be coming back later this day, this will be not much of a big deal. I left back home here, by the way, one person with a gun and one person with a knife, so we can still do the kiting and gunning game. That is also very, very important. Whenever you leave people behind in your colony to defend the place, you should always have a plan how they ought to do it. Otherwise, you will be regretting your decisions, obviously. Okay. Conway goes off to tame some Muffalo. Highly recommendable. As you've seen there, you can sell animals directly away, which is really, really massive, as the monetary gain there was enough to buy us a chain shotgun. So, yeah, and we have first food poisoning because of dangerous food type berries. Well, first off, that's a lie. Just want to explain. Here, so there is a innate food poisoning chance with pretty much any raw food. There you have it. The tooltip just calls it dangerous food if ever that happens. So food poisoning is quite nasty. People will throw up quite a lot while they are suffering from that disease. But it'll go away naturally. You don't have to do anything about that. The big deal there is they're moving slow, they're constantly in pain, and their consciousness is debuffed. Consciousness is the king of all of these traits here. Why? None of these here, moving, manipulation, talking, and eating, can be higher than your current rate of consciousness. So basically, since consciousness is on 43%, Shield's stats of these can only be 43% max. And that is making him slow, making him eat slow, because eating is extra debuffed. Manipulation is your general working speed. All of these things just suck right now. So he's best off to be put in bed until this is over as well. Which is really bad because he's the best doctor we got. So we still have to monitor this manually. This, by the way, illustrates darn well the devilishness of Rimworld and the micromanagement of the situation you're in. So we're going to feed the guy as well. Because as you can see here, it is a really narrow dance alongside of death. The plague is only a few percentile points behind. So, I promised you some winter preparations, and I shall serve. So, the most important winter preparation is to have bedrooms that have a form of heat supply. So you either set up yourself a power supply like we did here and put in a heater afterwards, or you set up a campfire in a dormitory-like thing. So you should, if you have to rely on fire for heating, I strongly recommend to have all people sleeping in one room. Yes, they'll hate it, but they'll also not freeze to death. So we'll have to have our priorities down, right? So, long story short, the heating of a certain area in your base is mandatory for survival. On top of that, you want to create yourself as many dusters, jackets, parkas, whatever you see fit for the environment that you're in. Parkas for very cold areas, jackets for medium areas, and dusters for warm areas. Generally, these are relatively optional-ish, as the thing there is quite simply put, as long as you have a room that is heatable, things are okay. So Furious is now on a daze. This is really bad because he is very ill. So illnesses also give you all manner of different problems of psychological nature because you're just very pissed and angry about life. Luckily, Furious passed out, you know. We're gonna rescue the poor fella. Better for him that way. When somebody passes out, they drop their weapon, which is absolutely freaking annoying, but usually you'd be running a mod for that. So we totally need to tend him there. Furious is, as a matter of fact, right now at the brink of death. So we better treat that again. Although this is a fringe case, technically you could have left him without treatment. But we're making a tutorial here, so things are delivered like this. So as you see there, immunity went 100% when the plague was 98%. That's how close it was. So, the other winter preparations that you should always consider taking are killing off as many animals that you can transform into meat as possible. As your agriculture won't do jack while you're in winter, you totally would want to have as many animals hunted down as possible. Here it comes down really much to what kind of biome you are in. The temperate forest biome is really pleasant, nice, and friendly to you, and there is really not much you need to worry about there. If you are closer to the polar regions, the more north you go, the more severe the winters will go, and the more intense your preparations should be, as soon as hypothermia kicks in and grows beyond the threshold of, I think, 30 or 40%, you will suffer frostbite and start losing your limbs. That can be treated, but eventually you will lose toes and fingers and such, and then die. So this happens faster, the colder it is. So in this biome here, we are really well off. It's all easy cheesy peasy, and we don't need to worry too much about it. You can also slaughter animals that you have tamed. So it's technically absolutely viable to just tame yourself animals to eat them afterwards. You can also ranch them first and let them have kids before you slaughter them. It is up to you. There's a variety of options that you can take. But what's also very important here is You already see it that our first plants are dying because of the cold. So you should always try to get yourself the harvest order down when that happens, and select your best farmers and let them have at it. So while you're doing this though, keep in mind that, yeah, you would need to do that manually, as you see there. And people that are not equipped properly will suffer from hypothermia quite heavily. I'm not down for the micromanagement fest here and there. If it bothers you to do all the jobs manually, I strongly recommend downloading the mod called Achtung, which is basically giving you the ability to force entire sectors of work getting done. I really wish that would be vanilla, but here, it ain't. You could only queue up the jobs like I showed you the other day. I am personally not a big fan. So it is now getting closer to winter. As you see here, it is still September, although the outdoors temperatures are plummeting quite hard. So, well, that is natural. That is just what it is. So we totally want to have harvesting and farming on a top-notch priority here. And get that done. Get the last harvest of the year in before it freezes to death on the fields. Leave it up to you how hard you want to optimize that, but it is totally worth doing so. What's now very important for us is that we're going to be working on heavy clothing here, as this is going to be the next big step ahead. Animals that are not capable of living in these temperatures will be wandering off the map eventually. So you should get that stuff done before time has gone. All right. So we're going to go for just checking. Another thing that is very important when you want to do clothing is you can only do clothing out of one type of leather. There is a nice little caveat though, but it is comes at a price. So you can make patch leather, which is basically leather merged together into a new leather. But patch leather is literally the worst leather out there. So usually you really only would use it for the last bits and bobs of your collection there. So we are gonna give Furious that chain shotgun and go hunting now. Generally, if you have animals in your biome like we do here, hunting is the best and easiest way of getting yourself clothing down. The other option you would have would be to plant out lots of cotton when the year is still early, but I didn't feel like doing so as we were still not too deep in the game when the year was young. But you can totally put down on your first attempts some cloth on the fields as well. It's absolutely worth it. I just didn't want to blow up the situation there. Alright, I'm giving free the body of that other gazelle. And as you can see here, it can be really, really wicked to kill off these critters. It takes sometimes forever. Another thing that's really important for me to note is that you should always try to avoid automatic hunting in really, really cold times. So let's see, we have already hypothermia on a lot of people here. So generally, by the way, your dudes will go and treat their hypothermia as soon as it goes below, as soon as they go below a certain point. They will then search for an area that is warm enough to lower their hypothermia. You will sometimes get a warning over here that hypothermia is kicking in. So if that happens, you really need to act on that. because your dudes, they will lose limbs faster than you can say ouch. That is just very, very sad, but it is what it is. Alrighty, my friends, we are where we are. I think we can now leave it off for today like that. One last thing though, it pays off to allow in your freezer the storage of animal corpses, because that means you can just start hauling them there. We need those now to gather as much plain leather as possible. Plain leather is a material that is being dropped by pretty much all of your standard animals, or however you want to call it, like deer, ibex, and all of those. And yeah, there's another thing that's really important here. Zones. There is a home zone area. Home zone is where your colonists will feel like cleaning is important. As you see here, poor Menino is freezing to death while trying to clean out the outer walls. The home zone also defines the area where fires will be put out. So, yeah, as you see here, we still are running those wooden barricades. It is sort of a double-edged sword, but since we want to replace these with stone anyways, not a biggie. Home zone gets automatically placed down when you build something. You can, though, disable that somewhere down here. Here, automatically expanding the home area around new constructions. That's the way how you can turn this off. Alright, that's that. End of the today's episode. I think we did a great job so far. And I hope you enjoyed. We're going to continue next episode and survive through the winter, I hope. And let's see what'll happen. Oh, we're being raided another time. Yeah, see you guys next time. Leave me your comments, drop me a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and check out the description box. Lots of cool links down there. There's Discord, there's Twitch, and there's, of course, PayPal, Patreon, or Buy Me a Coffee. If you'd be supporting the channel directly, I'd be very, very happy. And there's also YouTube membership now. Pretty nifty little thing. Check it out. A big, big thanks to all the supporters of Icon Gaming. And a big, big thanks to you watching this video until the very end. I deeply appreciate. See you all next time. Bye-bye.